Let's talk about the BRC Fallow Deer working facility.
Hey Brennan again, out here in the pen. I get a lot of people that ask about the working facility. A lot of folks that are getting in, buying deer and whatever, and don't have a barn. They start asking questions about what we did, what we like, what we dislike. And so I'm going to try my best here to kind of show you two views of our system. One kind of from the handler's point of view and one from the deer's point of view. Hopefully it makes sense and answers questions about how this all works. So we've got the layout of the pins. I'm standing in what we call the corner catch, corner pin, whatever. So we have pin 1, pin 2, pin 3, and then this is pin 4, the gate's kind of behind the trees. They're all about an acre to an acre and a quarter. And then we have this corner pin, and this is, I don't know, a quarter of an acre maybe. So the way this all works is the pins are kind of triangle shaped. The only pin that doesn't work well to pull out of is pin 4 because the door's kind of in a corner. It works okay, but they would rather be in the back of the pin, so they kind of end up doing this loop. But there's a gate in the back of pin 4 that goes to 3 that funnels right into the corner pin. So basically what happens is I get the deer into this corner pin. Usually they run in and they run behind the trees back here and kind of hide out back there. And the opening to, I guess, the heart of the system starts here. So unfortunately it's a two-person job. I tried to do it by myself when we started and it just doesn't work. This is my least favorite part of our system, is this first part, because I can never get them on a first or second try. It takes 4 or 5 circles around the pen before one finally decides to run in. I have some ideas on how to improve that, but that's a project for another day. So I'll kind of work behind, and normally there's shade cloth, not always on this line, but definitely on this back line. It's shade cloth the whole way, including the gate, because that's the direction they really want to go, and the shade cloth really keeps them from wanting to push on that fence or jump into the fence or stick a leg through it or whatever. It just looks less inviting. So I'll work the deer around this way. Eventually one will stick its head in this corner, and I just hope that when one goes, they all go. But the way this works is they come in through here, and this gate's got a wheel on it. Not a very big one, but it's got a wheel and a rope. This is where it takes 2 people. Like I said, I tried to do this by myself, but when I think there's some video of this, but when I got to this point, the deer see me and they try to reverse out, jump over me, run me over, whatever. So easy. No. So when I'm standing back in the corner pen and I see the last deer go in, I just yell gate, and Becky's standing out of sight back behind this wall, and she pulls that rope, which, let's see if I can do it from this side. Try it, I don't know. If she pulls this rope, it's hard to do, rubbing on the fence like this. Shot like that. Now there's there's also a latch. So once she pulls it shut and holds it, I come over. This is hard to do from this side. I come over, pull that latch, and there's also a bar that goes behind the bottom that keeps them from kicking the bottom out. So, well, I'll just show you. She pulls it shut, I come up behind, and the deer really, the gate doesn't really scare them. They just kind of stand in the back corner. And then here's the bar on the bottom. It flips down like that in case they were to run into the bottom of the fence. It won't pop the latch. There's a reason why there's a bar there. So then what I do is I come out here, the outside of the catch, into what's the buck pen. There go the bucks out there. The deer are typically right in this corner. Once they see me walk around here, they kind of go to the opposite corner where we just were. I'll see if I can. What there is there's a rope here, and it operates that gate. Hopefully the camera will focus. That gate open up way down on the corner. I'll let it go back down. So I just open that gate like this, and the deer running through that. I'm gonna see if I can lock this thing so we can. And they almost always go right through, or I can go in through this gate. Another kick bar down there. Go in through this gate and push them the rest of the way in. But most of the time, once one of them goes through there, they all go. So, what that would look like. So basically, it's hard to do all this with a camera in hand. So that's the gate where the deer would have run through. Now generally I don't go this way because that gate's shut, but normally I would walk around. That would be shut, that gate would be down. I would come out through the barn like this. Make sure nobody's standing here waiting on me. Most of the time, they work through this without me having to push. So I come up. There's a mirror up here that I can see down the alleyway, and it's there for a reason because I've been run over at that corner a couple of times.
Whoa! Yeah, got him.
So I walk up real quiet like, watch the mirror, peek around the corner, and I've got this rope right here, runs along the side to that door. So once I see that all the deer are in, grab the rope, shut the door. So there's two pins here, two pins. I've got a little viewport. I can see what's in there. You know, let's say I want to split a couple of them off or whatever. There's the gate right there is operated by this rope. So Normally I just leave this as one pen when I'm getting deer in, so I would just have this open, and then when I come in here, if I want to split them in half, you know, I can work them back and forth like that. But yeah, I can latch that rope at the top where there's a screw right there that will hold it as well. So once I got whatever I need, here's the second pin. I can take a peek in here if I need to look. There's the back side of that gate. So at this point, they're caught, they're secure, they can't go anywhere. This is like 9 feet tall, I think. So the next move is getting them into the barn itself. So what I've got here is just a door, and then this slides out. You back up a little bit. You can see that portion of the door slides out, and there's a latch. I don't know if it's necessary, but I typically use it. Oh, I forgot to open the other door. Well, but you see how that works. And then what I do here is I'll pop this. Now I guess you need to see. And here's what I call the dark room. This would not be. It'd be a very bad idea if this was left open. So this is what they would see going into that room. So, open this latch. I've got this gate on a gas strut. So once it swings all the way. Yeah, I'm trying to do this with one hand instead of two, but I pull this door open all the way, latch it if I want, and then I go back in, push the deer out. They usually go pretty easily, and they just run out that door right there. Here. It's a little bit complicated, but So then I can look in here. I don't know how the reflection is going to look, but I can look in the room here and see, yep, they're all against the back door. Pop the latch, slide the door back in, or the slide back in, shut the door, and shut this door. So at that point they're all in the barn. I'll work my way back around. Another gas door with a gas strut on it. These things are pretty handy for holding doors open. Oh, I'll just leave that. So this is the dark, what I call the dark room. So it's 6 feet by 20, I think. You can peek in through a couple of flaps. They'd be standing in there. I've got lights I can turn off. There's red lights, so you can still kind of see the deer, but they can't see us. They stay more calm. They can still see us, but so they'd be in the dark room, right? Here's a connection to the tunnel system with lights on all the boxes. I'm gonna be doing some modifications to these gates, but the gist of it is 2 gates here. Try to do this one-handed. I've got one painted red because it fits the hook that's red, and I've got 2 handholds because they're kind of hard to open, which is something I'm going to work on. So see if I can set this thing down. You can see how these things operate. So at that point, both of these, guillotine gates, whatever you want to call them, vertically sliding gates are opened. There's 2 boxes here, one here that you can see in, and then one back there. It's kind of just a holding box. It doesn't go anywhere, but it does kind of help to push the deer into the rest of the system here. So that would all be open. There's another slide right here another slide right there that's a sliding door in and out that opens this box. Typically we'll have that open if we're just starting to run everything in. So that's all open. I've got a PVC pipe with a rag on the end that works decently well for getting the deer to move. It's funny how they're wild in the pen, but once you get them in here they don't really know how to handle it. So generally speaking, there's a bright light in the corner where ideally they go. Some of them go right in, and some of them don't want to go through that opening. This is where there's going to be some improvements coming here shortly.
We discovered that one of the lulls in our system was pushing the deer out of the dark room. Some deer would quickly enter the boxes, but others just balked at that idea. There were a couple of instances where Brendan had to enter the room to push the deer, and that scenario just isn't safe. So Brendan does what Brendan does best, and he devised a plan to help improve the efficiency of moving deer out of the dark room. Brendan designed and built a push wall. This way he can safely enter the space and use the push wall to encourage the deer to move into the boxes. He included a little plexiglass window so he can keep an eye on the deer, and it also includes a door so we can still access the dark room from the barn if needed. This was a game-changer addition to our working facility. I believe it has reduced stress for both the deer and us, and has improved our efficiency.
But for today, they go through the dark room into the tunnels. Closed or open, you're fine. Come on. Good? You can shut this. Yep, all the way down. But I push the deer through. Generally speaking, they'll run in. Usually Becky's here. She'll let this first gate down. That traps them in this box. Depending on how many we got, she might let the second gate over there, let it come down, and then once we get them pushed up forward, she'll slide this sliding gate shut and typically kill all these lights. So So the idea is, let's just say I had 5 deer here. Say there's 2 in this box, 2 in this box, and 1 in the back, you know, whatever the case may be. That's a good place to start.
So we got 1, 2, 3. There's 2 in there. And then 1 loaded up for the chute. Let's turn off the lights so they'll chill out.
So at that point, we're trying to get 1 in the last box. Now this box, I should have left the light on, but it's got a ramp in it, so it brings them up to an elevated height, which is crucial because the drop chute drops out from below them, so they have to be elevated for that to work. But another light switch here turns on the light in this box, which is just a big open box. You open the slide, let 1 deer out of this box into this one, and kill the light. So that's the idea. We want to end up with 1 deer in this box. Doesn't matter how many's in all the rest of the boxes, 1 deer in that box. Because the last thing I want is 2 deer in the chute. So we get ready. System's ready for the deer to come into the chute. Generally, depending on the conditions, I may have this gate open if I want them, you know, if I feel confident that I'm going to catch the deer, I'm not going to miss it, then I'm fine leaving that open. But I have missed a couple deer, and the nice thing about this setup is if this door's open, that's closed. I normally will open the first metal box that had the first door that I closed with a rope. I'll have it open, so if the deer gets through the chute before we get it worked, it'll just run out, go around, and go back in the metal box, and we can recycle it through the system.
Brendan made another modification to the working facility by adding a rope and pulley system to the guillotine gate that leads back out to the deer pens. This was a huge improvement. Now Brendan can raise and lower the gate while standing next to the chute. This has cut out the time it took to run back and forth to open and close the gate with each deer that we work through the system. In addition to the pulley system, Brendan also installed a camera that gives us a view of the alleyway that leads back into the working facility. This allows us to easily see if the deer exited the system and made it back out into the deer pen, or if they're still milling around in the way. These two upgrades are my favorite so far.
I've got doors here to close off gaps. We've had one deer get through when that exterior door was shut. What happened was it got through, ran out, hit the door, turned around, went up the chute backwards, jumped into that box, and I shut the door. So it was really no big deal, but that's the risk of leaving that door shut. The last thing I want is for that thing to try to jump a wall or, you know, run somebody over or something. So this is how I would have it. If I'm going to catch a deer in the chute, I don't know. I think sometimes I don't shut that. I'm getting to where I haven't really missed one in a while, but anyway. So I'm standing here. I'm going to open this just so you can see what's going on. I've got the squeeze portion of the chute down to the appropriate width. For fawns it needs to be more narrow, for bucks wider. That's a setting just with this lever. And mine are, yeah, so that's a doe position. And Becky's back here ready to push the deer forward. I've got my hand on the floor release and my foot on the floor itself, kind of, so that when I release it, it doesn't just slam down. I kind of just let my foot right up, so it drops a little slower. So I'll open the door. Deer will be in here. With any luck, this is how it goes. Deer walks calmly to the front of the chute, and I drop the floor out. In reality, several things happen. Occasionally, that's what happens. Sometimes it takes a lot of pushing to get them out of this box, and I don't know why. Sometimes they jump from right here all the way to the front and hit there. It's however it happens. So let's say the deer runs in up to the front of the chute. I'm watching through the gaps in the chute and the gap right here. When it gets in the position I want, I'm gonna, let's see if I can do this where you can see. So there's the floor. I pull the lever, the floor drops out from under it. The front head gate guard opens up, and then I quickly move forward, open this guard, hand on the back of the deer, make sure it's calm. If it's back here, sometimes I have to push it forward so its shoulders are up against the stops. And then I've got a back restraint that folds down, and hopefully it's adjusted correctly where it just kind of puts some pressure on the back of the deer, so if it kind of calms them down, but it keeps them from getting enough elevation where they can get a foot, you know, somewhere that'll allow them to jump up. So they can basically try to run. They normally try to run for a few seconds and then quit. So at that point they are restrained. We do whatever we're going to do. We come up front, hold a head here to take, you know, TB test or cut antlers or whatever. I can open doors and check feet, all kinds of stuff. So when we're done with it, I swing this, well, I open this door. I swing this gate closed so that they run out. And then basically, I use this lever and it widens the squeeze. They drop down and then run out. That's it. Then you just reset the chute. Let's see if I can do this. You can see what a reset looks like. Run the door open. Reset the squeeze. Backrest goes up. Shut whatever door is. Floor goes back up. Head gate gets closed. And now we're ready for another deer. So at that point, of course this would be shut. While I'm working the deer or doing whatever, if Becky has a chance, she's back here moving the next deer from that box to this box, so that once this deer's out, all we gotta do is reset the chute, come back up, pull the gate, and catch the next one. So, like I said, they run out, and then, now this is a little bit weird, but it's not up all the way. But actually I have a catch here, so I can manually open this and hold it like that. Depending on where they're going, if they're a doe, I'd have this gate swung over to this side. If it's a buck, I can open the far side, leave it just like this, and they'll go back into the buck pen. So I'd open pins 1, 2, 3, or 4. They go back into the corner catch. They find their own open gate, and back to the pen they go. Again, if I missed them, they'd run around just like they did to start with. So that's it. System works pretty well. It's a little bit complicated, partially because I got a couple extra latches here to keep doors from warping. It's a little bit complicated, but there was logic behind that. My thought, a lot of what I did came from my experience with cattle, and a lot of it came because I thought to myself, I don't know how small of a space I can funnel the deer into. For example, going from a 1 acre pen to a 12-foot wide alley. Well, is that going to be easy, or are they going to balk at that? Once I build that 12-foot wide alley, well, I'm kind of committed to it. And so I wanted to be able to make progress in the sense of getting them to a smaller pen and then have a gate, and then make progress into a smaller pen and have a gate. That way there was no running back and having to start over. You know, I'm always getting them shut into a smaller space. Is that easier or harder? I don't know. But that's why it's a little bit complicated. Complicated is not the right word. Maybe convoluted is the right word. But it works pretty well. There's a couple improvements that we'll be taking some video of. One was on the original barn design that I thought I could get away without having, and putting it in will be a big time saver. So that's it though. So hopefully we'll show you the view, what it looks like if you were a deer going through the system.